Hi there, Meteorologist Lisa Green here with a look at some fog this morning. Joining you a little early because we've got fog affecting the morning commute in some spots. And so I want to make sure that you are ready for that to have some impacts on you and your morning drive. So you can see behind me, we've got a foggy view here. So I'm going to show you this, take it full view, full screen, and explain what we're looking at. So this is the Newman Outdoor Field Skycam in the north part of the FM Metro. You can actually see some of the lights here that illuminate the field usually. In the distance, some buildings from NDSU's campus, and that's about as far as we can see. Normally we can see downtown, and we just don't have that view here this morning because of that fog. So that's going to be an increasing factor, or has been an increasing factor for us this morning, and will continue for a little bit longer. I do want to check in on some more views. What I find really interesting here is this is also Fargo-Moorhead, and this is the latest update from the DOT's view at the Tri-Level Bridge. This was the last image here was taken about 8:18. You can see there's some dirt and stuff on the camera, but overall we've got decent visibility in this part of the metro. So north side is looking really murky, and then on the south side of the metro perhaps not as bad in some areas. So it could be highly variable in the metro, but also throughout the valley seeing the fog. So I want to point out where we're looking at some of our toughest visibility reports. So you can see overall in the valley that we've got areas where 10 miles, that's the maximum. We're seeing that looking good. And then there are some places kind of right in the heart of the valley where we're dealing with the fog. So let's zoom in on some of these locations. Langdon has been struggling all morning long. We are back down to a quarter-mile visibility there. And now Walhalla getting in on that near the Pembina Gorge, and Cavalier at 1 mile visibility. Grafton's dropped. And Grand Forks, this is an update from the valley today, earlier this morning. We're looking at a half-mile visibility in Grand Forks, and Thief River Falls starting to drop. So it's worsened. The sun is now up, so I'm expecting to see those temperatures starting to turn around, and that will help to gradually reduce the fog, but it's getting a little worse before it gets better out there. Looking at our visibility in Cooperstown, also very low at 0. You can see 0 in Gwinner. And then I mentioned, I'm going to zoom in a little more here, I mentioned how it's variable in town. Well, look at the difference between the north side of Fargo. We're at a quarter-mile visibility at the airport there, and Moorhead, at Moorhead's airport, we're at 2 miles visibility just on the east side of the metro. So again, there is a big difference even within town, even within the metro, of conditions that are going to be on that murky side. So looking at that, and let's take a look at another part of the valley. Wadena's been really struggling too with some dense fog that's developed. We're at 0 miles visibility. Staples less than a mile. Detroit Lake's less than a mile. So areas in the valley that are struggling with visibility this morning. Let's take a look at some of our DOT conditions. One thing I am concerned about is that while our fog is a factor, temperatures are below freezing, so fog, what is it? It's moisture in the air, and so that could be depositing on colder surfaces. We could have some frost out there too. So let's take a look at our website. Again, valleynewslive.com/weather to get to the weather page here, and then you've got lots of options to select underneath the banner. And first of all, let's take a look at road conditions. So let's take a look at North Dakota DOT first. You can see that we're doing okay. Lots of green on the map. There's some road work going on in central parts of the state. That's what those W's are for, I believe. Most of those are for that. But then there are some spots you can see just a little bit of light blue up by Langdon where a lot of that fog has been. And that, as we look at our legend, is for some scattered frost. And so we may have some frost on the roads there, other places where fog has formed as well. And I want to take a look at road conditions on the Minnesota side. And no real concerns or big reports about frost or fog on the road surfaces here. It looks like we have one spot, some light ice on the roadway on Highway 2 between Bagley and Bemidji. So there may be some frost there. There are also some weather stations that when they go red like this, that means there's a weather alert going on. So up by Lancaster, if we click on that, it's visibility, less than about a half-mile visibility. And then up toward Gatsky, it's a quarter-mile visibility there. And then looks like down toward, this is not exactly Hallstatt, but in the Hallstatt area, visibility is at a third of a mile or so. Let's take a look at that DOT cam. You can see the road disappearing into the fog there along Highway 200. And then this is our view in Moorhead. This actually looks worse than the report that came in from the airport near Moorhead. This visibility is pretty low too. So there are more spots. Wadena, again, we've been struggling with fog there. This is actually specifically Verndale along Highway 10. And just looking along that, you can see it's pretty murky. And it looks like we have an alert here. We'll zoom in a little more. Near Evansville and Brandon, between those two exits, looks like there's a crash being reported in that area. Let me see if there's a camera in that vicinity. Not many, but not really seeing anything specific there. But a crash has been reported. So easy does it. There might be some icy patches out on the roads. And if you park outside, you know, you're looking at the possibility for some frost on your windshield, on your vehicle. So you're going to want to give yourself some time to get that car started and warmed up. So that's a look at fog. Let's look at some cameras here really quick, some more cameras. It's, again, variable, so there are places where visibility is great. Looks like the sun's trying to shine through this view in the Gatsky area. Yeah, you can see that trying to happen there. So that's an area that will see some improvement rather quickly. We already took a look at Hallstatt. Wadena, again, has been an area that's had some foggy conditions. This is the Frazee area along Highway 10. Lake Park was looking foggy earlier. It's improved a lot there. Yeah, you can see the blue sky. You can see that we've got some sun shining through. So again, it might be quite variable depending on where you are. I'm just zipping through here. On that part of stretch of Highway 2 that's reporting some light ice. Doesn't look too bad, but I mean, these are 1-point locations. So again, it could be a little bit icy in other spots. And I'm seeing, you can see on the trees here in the Solway area that we've got some frost on the trees. So again, that means that there could be some frost on the roads, especially bridge decks. So going back to North Dakota, I want to show some DOT cams from North Dakota as well. We'll turn on our layers, our camera layer here. And up by Langdon, this is the view that we have for Langdon. This is east of town along Highway 5. You can see visibility pretty low. And we'll go a little farther east from there toward Highway 5. This is west. It's labeled as Cavalier because that's the nearest town, but you can see it's pretty far west of Cavalier. And you can see that dip in the road that we usually see, that little hill. In the distance, can't see it. It's pretty foggy in that area. So dense fog. And look at this is a good example of, you know, how things, I'm just going to open this in a new tab so you can see a little larger. How things are when you're driving down the road with this. Want to make sure that we have our headlights on and tail lights too, of course, because it's hard to see the cars in front of you. You can see this truck is either braking or has its lights on enough that you can see them pretty well. It looks like there's a shadow of another vehicle in front of it, and they're braking behind that. So this is why it's dangerous to not have your lights on, and why you want to give yourself lots of following distance while you're traveling. You don't want to run into a situation where you suddenly come up on a car like that. And let's get back to the road map here. That's Cavalier. Let's go a little farther south. This is Edinburgh camera. Some fog in the vicinity. Bozeman along Highway 29. Most of that's road surface, but it looks pretty good visibility-wise. Let's look up toward Pembina. Doesn't look too bad in that area. So again, it's variable depending on where you are. West of Langdon, Clyde area, looks pretty good. Not bad at all. So it looks like it's mainly toward Langdon and then east toward the Pembina Gorge area where we're seeing some of the worst fog in that region. Devil's Lake, let's check in on Devil's Lake. Not bad. So I'm just going to click through really quick just to make sure I'm not missing any spots. Looks like Lakota area, Michigan, Lakota. We've got some fog in the vicinity. Go to Emerado, foggy there. And again, Grand Forks looks pretty foggy in spots. Yeah, there's some areas that look foggier than others. Binford, some fog. Better over toward Glenfield, New Rockford. I don't want to click on all of them, but you can see that there's varying conditions there. Sorry, my hand just hit the mic if that made a noise. So again, looking at some areas of fog, southeastern North Dakota looks better. And I can show you. Let me open up our website again. And weather page. Let's take a look at our sky cams. Let's take a look at the Red River Valley Fairgrounds. This is in West Fargo. See, it looks pretty murky there. Our view is very gray in that shot. This is looking toward the interchange between the I-94 and Main interchange there. And I know that because I set up this camera view earlier this morning. So I know that's what we're supposed to see, but visibility is down there because of fog. Red River Bridge, this is a DOT cam, pretty dirty, so that's kind of hard to tell. Maybe this view, yeah, that's still pretty dirty. Grand Forks, let's check it out. This is the UND camera at the Aerospace Sciences building. It looks like visibility in town is okay, but if you look in the distance, you can see that there's some frost on the trees. So again, might be a little slick there, and in other places around Grand Forks, because the airport's reporting low visibility, other places around Grand Forks may be a little low. And then I also wanted to show the Dakota Magic Casino camera, because this one shows some pretty decent visibility. We've got blue skies in that area. If it will load for me here, I also set this one up to show you that blue sky. We should be able to see that water tower in the view. Might be taking its time here. But the bottom line is it is variable. And so visibility is going to be a factor whether you are, if you're traveling any long, there it is, finally. If you're traveling long distance, you're probably going to run into a little bit of fog at some point. But there might be some spots in the valley where you don't have a problem with it at all for today. Okay, so that's a look at our visibility in some of our DOT cams in the valley. Let's get back to our visibility map. Again, some low visibility reports coming in. This looks a little jumbled because I've got all of our sites turned on and I'm not zoomed in. But again, we're down to 0, Cooperstown, Gwinner, Wadena. Some areas that are less than a mile. Fargo's at a 1/4 mile. And actually, let's zoom in again. It was 2 miles in Moorhead, and now we're down to a 1/4 mile. We just got an update from the Moorhead Airport. So it could be that it's spreading here in the metro before it gets better. And again, some low visibility up by Cavalier and Langdon. Okay, so that's the fog situation that we've got going on. Let's talk more about what's causing this. We're seeing some areas of clearing overnight. The air has calmed down. We've got calm reports. Even if we do have wind, it's mainly less than 10 miles per hour, Fergus Falls being the exception here on the map. And so that allows the air to become still. That causes it to cool down much more quickly. It's just like, people. If we are out in the cold and, you start to get chilly, what do? Your body shivers. If you dance around and move, you start to warm up a little bit. It's not exactly the same because you're generating heat and the air is not. But that movement creates not necessarily creates heat, but it prevents the air from cooling down as quickly. So that is what we're looking at for when we talk about wind being a big factor with temperatures and with fog, is that as the air starts to calm down and become still, the rate of cooling is a lot faster, and we cool down toward that dew point temperature. And dew point, well, what does that sound like? Dew. Condensation. So we get to that point where we start to get water vapor turning into cloud droplets, condensing into cloud droplets, and end up with some fog. So that can happen here if you have enough moisture in the air. So that's what's going on here. Let's get back to our maps. You can see that we do have clouds. This is infrared. It can be hard to tell, especially when, we're in the winter time and we've got a lot of nighttime. So visible satellite doesn't always help us out. It takes a minute to be able to see the clouds on visible even after the sun is up. And so then we look at infrared, which is measuring the temperatures of the cloud tops, but sometimes they're just as cold as the snowpack. So then it's hard to differentiate between the two. So bottom line is there's some areas of clearing, and we've got some clouds that are hanging around out there too, as well. So hopefully I'm not over-explaining everything here for you. But here's a look at, again, our fog planner. I'm focused in on Wadena for this particular site. We're at a 1/4 mile visibility, very light wind. Over the next couple of hours, this may hang around. So you can see through 9 through 10 o'clock, we may see visibility less than a mile. And then it starts to improve as we head into the afternoon. We'll start to warm up. We start to get that air moving a little bit. And we start to dry out a little bit and get some more sunshine coming up here. But just some reminders as we're dealing with the fog here this morning. Your fog safety, you want to slow down, have those headlights and tail lights on so folks can see you. Use those low beams. Extra travel time, extra stopping distance, especially because there might be some slick spots on the roads with the frost that may develop from the fog. And look out for others. Look out for pedestrians and cars. Do that extra take, that extra look before you pull out onto a road or into an intersection here for today. And stressing this because we do have several days in a row of similar kind of weather. We're going to be seeing some warm temperatures and a warmer air mass hanging around through tomorrow, heading into Friday, even beyond. And so our mornings may feature more conditions like this, where we have some areas of fog develop. That's possible again tonight and again tomorrow, or rather Friday morning as well. So just some things to keep in mind here as we're warming up. We're definitely seeing a lot of melting going on, so that snowpack's going to continue to dwindle. And that adds more moisture to the air too. So as that happens, that can help to contribute to some fog. So we're looking at a foggy morning. Stay safe out there. Give yourself lots of time to get to where you need to be. And I'll come back a little bit later this morning during my normal time in that 10 to 11 o'clock hour or so, and we'll get into the forecast for the rest of the week, the holiday weekend, those pattern changes we've been seeing for next week, and more active weather coming our way. More on all of that coming up a little bit later this morning. In the meantime, have a safe drive to work, and I'm seeing a little bit of improvement on our sky cam in the let's see, in the Grand Forks, or no, in the Fargo area. Okay, I'm going to pull up our Hankinson camera while I pull that back up, because I want to make sure I show that to you, that I'm seeing some improvement so you can see where we are at. Might take a minute. But in the North Metro in Fargo, we're seeing some of that improvement happening here. So one thing to note is that it's varying. It's variable. The fog at times worsens, and then it gets better here this morning. So visibility's been, again, tougher in the northern part of the metro, but it is on the move, the fog, the low-level cloud cover. Let's take a look. Hopefully we can bring that up. There we go. Okay, here's that view. Slightly better. It's not a lot better, but we can still see those buildings a little bit more for NDSU's campus. Okay, so we'll leave you with that. You can always check our sky cams, by the way, on our valleynewslive.com page through the VNL weather app as well. And that's where you can access DOT cams too, right through the page. You can get to all of our DOT sites in the Dakotas and in Minnesota and beyond, up into Manitoba as well. We have that available for you there too. So safe drive this morning. We'll be back again to keep you up to date on that forecast, and we'll see you in a couple of hours.